let's start with story time. I was in 8th grade. I had won first chair as a violinist in my youth symphony, a group I'd been a part of for years and loved. And we were performing Copland's Hoedown. If you don't know it, look it up. It's a bop. And I had a solo. It comes right near the end of the piece. And I played through the whole performance, waiting for my moment. But before we went on to perform, I overheard some of the older students in another group talking. And they were picking apart another violinist who also had a solo. I wasn't even the target of it, but I heard it and I couldn't unhear it. So by the time it came to my solo, I wasn't in the concert hall anymore. I was somewhere else entirely, inside a version of that moment where those same voices were aimed at me, waiting for me to slip, ready to dissect whatever I did. And I froze completely.
Welcome to Your Passaggi Professor, a podcast for singers who want tools to bridge the gap between the hard skills we learn in music school and the soft skills we need to live focused, intentional lives. I'm your host, Sarah Neely, voice professor, director, and certified life coach. Each week, we'll talk about mindset, emotional regulation, boundaries, and more so you can navigate the passaggi of your life, both on and off the stage.
The solo came and went, and I didn't play a note of it. I was so mortified that I never went back. I never spoke to anyone from that orchestra again. I completely ghosted. And looking back now with everything I understand about performance anxiety, I can see exactly what happened. When my nervous system ran a threat scenario, the imagined judgment felt more real than the actual music in front of me. And when fight or flight showed up, I froze, and then I fled. And I don't say that with shame, although even talking about it makes some of that feeling come back up. But I say it because I want you to know that the avoidance made complete sense in that moment. Of course, I didn't want to go back to the place where that happened. Of course, my body wanted to protect me from ever feeling that way again. That is exactly what a nervous system in survival mode does. And what I know now, and what I didn't know then, is that every time we avoid the thing that scared us, we teach our brain that the threat was real. Avoidance feels like relief, but it reinforces the pattern. And that's a thread we're going to pull a lot over these next 2 episodes. So that experience quietly nudged me towards singing. I still played the violin, but in 8th grade to high school, I started to get involved in choir, and I realized that I was drawn to the acting element of it, of storytelling, the character, the expression, and singing gave me something that the violin hadn't quite offered me in the same way. But performance anxiety didn't stay behind with the violin, it followed me. So fast forward a few years, the opera program from New Mexico State University came to perform at my high school, and I was asked to sing for them. And I sang Per la Gloria, which you probably know. It's one of those standard 24 Italian arias. Anyway, I started to sing, and I was shaking. Visibly, uncontrollably shaking, like a leaf in a windstorm. And I was acutely aware of it. I could feel it in my arms, my hands. I was trying so hard to just focus on the song, and really, all things considered, I still was singing relatively well. The music was there, but my body was completely out of my control. And the reason I tell you this story now is that I am currently the opera director at NMSU, that same program, and that's my program now, which is so funny to me. Like, what a weird and wild full circle moment. But at the time, what made that experience so frustrating wasn't just the shaking. It was the feeling that the shaking was all anyone could see. That same old fear, people watching, people judging, and me unable to control what my body was doing in front of them. Same pattern, different instrument, different physical response, but same nervous system trying to protect me from this same imagined threat. And I'm telling you these stories because I want you to know that I'm not speaking about performance anxiety from a distance. This is not a topic I researched and packaged for you. This is something that I have lived and continue to live. And in some ways, it's something that really shaped the entire direction of my artistic life. And so as I progressed through college and grad school, my performance anxiety became less physically debilitating, but it started to manifest in ways that strongly affected my fine motor control and kept me from coordinating my voice in the more advanced way that I was learning how to do in my lessons. I wouldn't shake or freeze, but my larynx would sit very high. I'd have shallow, effortful breathing, and a vocal fatigue that had nothing to do with how much I'd sung that day, just the pure physical effect of anxiety on my voice. And I want you to know that I am genuinely proud of who I've become in relation to performance anxiety, and not because I've conquered it. I haven't, and in fact, that's not even the goal. But because I stopped running, I kept performing, I kept putting myself in the room, and slowly, over years of performing and coaching and learning to understand what my nervous system was actually doing, I built a different relationship with the feeling. And there's actually a really important reason that performance anxiety hits singers so specifically hard. Christopher Arneson published a really great article in the Journal of Singing called Performance Anxiety, a 21st Century Perspective, where he makes the point that while performance anxiety is common to anyone who performs, it's particularly disruptive for singers because the physical systems that anxiety disrupts are the exact physical systems we need in order to sing. Breath support, laryngeal freedom, fine motor coordination. The anxiety doesn't just feel bad, it reaches directly into our instrument, which is why understanding it and having real tools for it is not optional for us as singers. It's part of the craft. So figuring out how to manage myself under pressure has been one of the longest, most humbling processes of my performing life. And it's still a process, but I feel so much more capable now than I did as that shaking sophomore or that frozen 8th grader. And a lot of what I've learned has come from unexpected places, from coaching, from like immersion therapy of performing, from working with my students and deep diving into neuroscience content and studying neuroplasticity. And one of the most important thoughts or beliefs that I always come back to is this: nothing has gone wrong if you're nervous. Being nervous is not a sign that you're not ready. It's not evidence that you're weak or not talented enough or not built to perform. It's not a personal flaw. It means your body is doing exactly what it's biologically designed to do. And let me explain what I mean by that. When you experience performance anxiety, you're experiencing the fight or flight response, or more completely, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. This is your body's hardwired survival response to a perceived threat. And the key word here is perceived. Your brain evolved in a world where social rejection was genuinely dangerous. In early human communities, being cast out of the group didn't just feel bad, it threatened your survival. Your nervous system developed circuitry to protect you from that possibility, and that circuitry is still running today. So when you walk out on that stage, your nervous system cannot fully distinguish that experience from something that's actually dangerous, like a lion or a tiger attacking you. The same exact alarm goes off. Your heart rate climbs, your breathing gets fast and shallow, blood redirects to your large muscle groups, your mouth goes dry, the tightness settles in your chest. These responses evolve to help you survive a physical threat. In an audition room or a master class or on stage, they show up anyway because your brain is doing exactly what it's built to do. It's trying to protect you. And here's what's happening at the brain level. There's a structure called the amygdala. It's your threat detection system. When it fires, it triggers the stress response, and crucially, it dials back access to your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain responsible for calm, rational thinking, planning ahead, and clear decision making. So when the alarm is running, the planning brain steps back. This is why telling yourself to just calm down in the moment doesn't work. You're asking a part of your brain to step in that isn't in control at that moment. And we're going to talk about the prefrontal cortex more in the next episode. But understanding this really matters because it reframes the whole experience. Arneson writes in that article that performance anxiety, first and foremost, is a valuable ally. It gives you the tension you need to be genuinely engaged in what you're doing. And that's a thought worth sitting with. The same activation that feels like it's working against you, the elevated heart rate, the heightened awareness, the physical energy moving through your body, that is your nervous system showing up for something that matters. It's you caring. It's your body preparing to do something meaningful. And here's where I want to bring in something from a different source, the 4 Agreements, which is a book and a belief system that I just genuinely love. So the 4 Agreements is written by Don Miguel Ruiz, and he writes about being impeccable with your word. And that agreement is so important because it extends to the words you use with yourself. The language you say to yourself and about yourself is not neutral. It carries weight. And when we tell ourselves that something is wrong with us because we're nervous, when your inner voice is telling you that you're falling apart or you can't do something or that you're broken, that language is doing real harm to you. What would it look like to be impeccable with your word in a moment of performance anxiety? What if the inner narrative shifted from I'm a mess or I'm nervous to my body is activated and ready? That's not wishful thinking. That's actually an accurate description of what's happening. Your nervous system is doing its job. This is also an exact example of a coaching model in practice. Being aware of your thoughts and choosing a better thought about the circumstance of being nervous or anxious for a performance that better serves you. You choose the thought that you can believe that helps you in the moment. Because I'm nervous, I'm not going to be able to sing well is not going to help you, right? So now I know what you might be thinking. Okay, Sarah, but I still don't want to shake through my aria. What do I do? I hear you. So next week, we're going to get practical. I'm going to walk you through the specific tools that I use, breathing techniques, what to do when your heart rate is already through the roof, a framework for working with those inner thoughts and voices that anxiety loves to run, and how to plan ahead with that prefrontal cortex so your nervous system has a map before the moment of anxiety arrives. But before we get there, here's what I want to leave you with. The goal is not to eliminate performance anxiety. The goal is to stop fighting it and to stop telling yourself that its presence means something is wrong. The performers who manage their nerves well aren't the ones who don't feel it. They're the ones who have a different relationship with the feeling. They've stopped treating it as the enemy. They know what it is, why it's there, and on a good day, they recognize it as a sign that they care deeply about what they're about to do. So here's your invitation this week. When the nerves show up, try meeting them with curiosity instead of resistance. Notice where you feel it in your body. Notice what your inner voice immediately says about it, and ask yourself whether that voice is being impeccable. Is it telling you the truth? Is that the only truth? All right, friends, we're going to get practical next week. In the meantime, take care of your voice, take care of your body, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much for listening to Your Passaggi Professor with Sarah Neely. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen. This really helps the podcast reach more singers just like you. And if you're ready to learn the life skills that smooth the passaggi of your life, You can follow me on Instagram at your_Passaggi_professor. That's Passaggi with 2 S's and 2 G's. There's a link in my bio where you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter and learn more about working with me. See you next time.